Welcome to OSG Live, where we inspire you to fall in love with your business. Get set to join your hosts, Tanya, Becky, Kylene, and Aaron for your weekly motivation. It's time to share your wins, express gratitude, and choose positive changes. Jump into the comments and share your thoughts with the rest of the OSG community. Coming up, OSG Wellness Super Tools to nourish your mind and body, small business success gems to uncover hidden gems of business excellence, and the uncommon mindset to challenge the status quo. Your journey to success and happiness starts now.
Good morning and happy Wednesday. Hope everyone's doing well this morning. My name is Tanya Doyscher from Gracie B. Doodle Designs. Kylene is not going to be here today, so we're going to try to do her justice with her being gone.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm Becky with BK Custom Tees.
And I'm Aaron Montgomery with our success group. And we are here to inspire you to fall in love with your business. As Tanya said, Kylene's not here. She's got to be on the road today, heading into work. She's back working a day job for right now and has an opportunity to work with veterans again. So I think she's pretty excited about it. She was telling me last night about a story. There was a gentleman that actually works in that same office with her now, but he originally was on her caseload. So for those that don't know, Kylene was a vocational rehab counselor and is now again at the VA, at the Veterans Administration. And she helped him a bunch. And when he found out that she was back in the office, he couldn't wait to show her his desk where her old card, her business card, is still sitting on his desk. And he told her how much she had helped him move into what he's doing now. So I love that. That's amazing. It was such a great story. So lots of good things happening there. And she will be back with us here soon, though. We're working on that. And she just got to get through, had to check in with HR and do all of that stuff. And so kind of getting back, this is her first week back. So she'll have some things going on. But next week we'll get it all sorted out. So I get to do my best impression of Kylene today, and you guys will have to bear with me because we are very different. She is always so joyous and positive and happy, and I tend to want to dig into, I get a little bit intense sometimes. So we'll see how I do today, but no, it'll be awesome. So where I wanted to start with you guys, and where Kylene always starts us off here, is talking about gratitude. And certainly grateful for the folks that are checking in already this morning. We've got Chuck here with us live. So good morning, Chuck. But, gratitude being our superpower. We tend to think that we'll believe it once we see it, right? But the opposite is actually true, that once we believe it, once we start focusing on what we want and being grateful and looking at those things as opposed to what we don't want, that's when things start to happen, right? So we'll see it once we believe it, kind of concept. So we always like to start with gratitude. As Kylene says, it's our superpower. So I'm going to throw it to the rest of the Fab 3 today. But Tanya, Becky, what are you grateful for this morning?
I'm grateful for friends who remind me to give myself grace. Includes Becky. She's told me that several times in the last couple of days. And a friend who sent me a video chat last night telling me to remember that I'm doing great, even though I'm so tired that it's going to take me a while to recover from my horrible bout of COVID. So friends.
I love it. That's awesome. What about you, Becky?
I am extremely grateful for our community and the customers. I had been sitting on a sale for a design for quite a while and decided kind of last minute to get it going, or managed to just spur myself to get it going and put it out there on Friday. And we called it the Groton Goodness Sale. So the design is all for the Groton community, or in reference to the Groton community. And we had some very good sales yesterday. And I added the fact that they could bring a food pantry item to also get a discount off the discounted prices. So that was great. I have a basket full of food already. We have one more day today. So it's going to be great. I love it. And it was just fun to see the food pantry ladies came out and saw me too. So that was super special for me. So
yeah. Oh, so neat. That is awesome. Wonderful.
And
Well,
I'm proud of you for opening up your space.
Yes,
100%.
I have. This is the very first time that I have actually publicly asked people to come to my shop. It's not a showroom by any means. It's not a store space by that point, but I love my workspace. So it's good to see other people see it too. So.
Well, Tanya said the other morning, and I agree with this 100%. It's where the magic happens. It's it's like Santa's workshop there, you know.
Kind of, yeah.
And so I'm super proud of you for doing that, and I'm also very proud of you for doing a live video too.
I did. I know we're getting there. Tanya's
look
still
at that.
pushing. But I should have done more, but you know, hey, we're what are we 11 weeks in? You guys, we're getting there. It's feeling slightly better. So
doing fantastic. Doing fantastic. Yeah. All right. Well, I am super grateful for you guys. I just thinking about the community, and one of the goals that I have is just to really have impactful relationships where I could support people and get support. And you know, so my goal is to have at least 50 of those people on my list that I feel that way about. And you guys are at the top of the list. So thank you very much for being who you are and allowing me to hang out with you guys. I get to sit at the cool kids table with you guys, and it's pretty fun.
I love it. I feel the same way. Hi, Rena.
Hi, Rena. Thanks for joining us. And so if you are tuned in live here, you guys, we do want to hear from you too. We want to hear what you are grateful for. Here's the other thing about gratitude that I've learned, and this is something I learned from Kylene, is that not only is it the gratitude that we get to share, right? So we're thinking about things we're grateful for, but I listen to you guys share what you're grateful for, and that's going to attract more to me too. And it reminds me of, oh, wow, yeah, this thing. And you know, when I've been able to do this, or, you know, recovering from that, or all those kinds of things are so crucial. It just keeps reminding it, right? It just keeps building that gratitude power, so to speak. So please share your gratitude with us. And Michelle, we are grateful that you are here up bright and early. And Rena is up real bright and early too, in fact.
Yeah,
because
she's
in California. So let's see, that's 5 a.m.
Way to
there.
go, ladies.
You guys are rock stars, and we appreciate you very much. So
Rena would be 4, wouldn't she? No,
is
5.
It 3?
Sorry,
no,
I'm at 7. I was up. I had 6 in my head. So
I still see plenty of coffee in that cup, Becky. You're
yeah.
I love it.
We'll leave the math skills for later.
she's on Sherry time.
There you go. Okay. Well, hey, you guys, we've got lots to get to today. I know Tanya and Becky, you guys have fantastic segments for us. And so I don't want to delay, but again, if you are tuned in live, guys, we do want to talk to you guys. We want to engage with you. It's not just about 3 talking heads up here. It's about community, the OSG community, and just sharing and lifting each other up, and that rising tide that lifts all boats. So, but Tanya, I know I got a sneak peek. I peeked, you know, kind of like looking at the gifts a little early, right?
Shame on you.
Before we get into that though, Michelle, I want to get this out there. This is fantastic. She says grateful for the good test results and answered prayers. And so, yes, that's definitely a celebration worthy, Michelle. We've all been thinking about you and praying for you. And I'm glad that you got heading in the right direction. So I know there's still a few obstacles to overcome, but you are incredible and you will overcome. So, okay. Now, can we jump into that wellness toolbox, Tanya? You all ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, here we go. Let's do it. And I'm excited to learn more about this.
Hello. So today I wanted to talk about building communities. Do you give much thought about who you surround yourself with and the communities that you belong to? I have recently been thinking about this a lot. And in recent years, I really started to adhere to the philosophy of surrounding myself with positive, like-minded people. And it really started during COVID. A lot of people don't have anything good to say about COVID. I always try to find the positive in something. And my positive is that I met fantastic people that I still surround myself with today. So it started out with the Decorator Community Zoom Hangouts that Erin would put on, playing games via Zoom with family and friends. And then this led to doing podcasts on the Two Regular Guys and with Christine Shreve. That was completely out of my comfort zone. But I honestly, it opened up the door to me feeling empowered enough to do things like go live and things like that. Subsequently, I joined Facebook groups and then that's expanded my communities to tapping. We tap several times a week with a group of friends, Kylene, Becky, and a couple of others. Virtual yoga. I love yoga with Kylene. And if you haven't checked it out, definitely do that. You can get one session free to check out how she works that. And then the mastermind group, Masters of Success, through our success group. And that's really been fantastic. And then the most surprising one to me was getting involved in a community on TikTok. I'm involved in the bariatric community, and that's kind of expanded into more business stuff. And on TikTok, I talk about all the things that are near and dear to my heart. The power of choose, mindset, and ICE, which is inspire, collaborate, and encourage. And those are all things that bring me happiness and that I can share with others to hopefully motivate them to think about those things. All of my communities have helped mold me into a more well-rounded person, and I have gone on to meet so many of these amazing people in the wild, in real life. My world expanded with my friends who live in my computer, and I am so thankful for that. I haven't met a lot of you, but I hope to one day. So social media communities, some people look at me like I am absolutely insane for going to meetups and meeting people that I've never met in real life before. But the mental health impact is huge. A study published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology found that social media use, when focused on positive interactions and support, is associated with lower levels of depression and anxiety. And I can speak to this. Think about people who are maybe very, very introverted or have health issues and they can't get out a lot. Social media enables them to have a voice in the world and have friends. I found that last year when I was very immobile and very unhealthy. And so social media use has been positive. I do have to say that you have to stay away from the drama, because there's that just like in every aspect of life. Keep to those positive, like-minded people. You can also find a sense of belonging, which I just said, and increase empathy. Research from the University of California, Irvine suggests that positive interactions on social media can enhance empathy and emotional well-being. Another way is mastermind groups. They help with professional growth. You can have collective intelligence and shared knowledge, leading to accelerated professional and personal growth. And I can speak to this because when we meet with the Masters of Success every 2 weeks, we set goals. We set stretch goals. We talk about what might be going wrong or something that we're thinking about, and we get all this great feedback. And then we don't want to let our people down, so we tend to follow through a lot more, which is incredible. You get that accountability, which I just said. Mastermind groups provide a built-in system of accountability. And then diverse perspectives. You can get all these different perspectives. Our group is pretty small, which I love, but no one's afraid to, give you a different point of view, which I really like. And you can take or leave it. No one's going to get offended. So that's also a really nice thing too. It's just a conversation. You might get a really great idea, and some things might not be for you. One of our people in our group the other day, she's like, I'm gonna have to think about that a little bit. So I get to talk to, brainstorm with, and help a group of amazing people who have become my friends as well as collaborators. I want to fulfill my own commitments because I don't want to let anyone else down, including myself. And then there's also communities for profession or business. You can be a member of the chamber, There might be like our downtown has a downtown association. And so being part of that can also do exactly what the mastermind can do. And you can make plans, things of that nature. Collaboration boosts productivity. It can reduce stress levels, and it gives you a better sense of sharing knowledge. A survey by McKinsey & Company found that organizations that actively encourage knowledge sharing are 31% more likely to be market leaders in their industry. Just think about that. That's pretty amazing. General facts, you could have positive peer influence by collaborating and being part of those communities. There's also emotional resilience. Relationships, having a supportive community can enhance emotional resilience during challenging times. Think back to COVID. COVID can rear its ugly head. Even now, I just got done dealing with it. When you have those challenging times, I have found that by having a community that you can lean on, they can help not only with talking to you, but they might have something else that they can help you with. But you won't know until you have that community and have that back and forth going. So closing thoughts, finding community can be work-related, hobby-related, health-related. I have found communities for working out, mindset, even recipes, and so many other things. Some of these people have become like my family. And just a side note, if you haven't considered TikTok, because there's a lot of, some people think down about it. If you go and find your community and focus on the positive, then it is a really great place to be. So that's what I have today. I'm really curious what you guys do for your communities.
All right. Wow. That was awesome.
Awesome.
Loved every
A lot
bit
of
of it.
information in a short period of time.
I know. That was really good. Well, let's see what we've got here in the comments first. And good morning, Mo. Thank you for joining us. Mo's over on the West Coast too. So we've got some early risers. I love it. Thank you guys so much. It's very much appreciated that you guys are here.
We'll call them the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah, there we go. At 5 a.m. club. Yeah, love it. Michelle says, was great meeting you and Becky in person last spring. Can't wait to meet Aaron and Kylene, hopefully this next summer. Yeah, I think there's definitely something to be said about that, Tanya, for sure. Like you had mentioned in there, sometimes people go, oh, you're going to go meet these people in person, right?
By yourself.
Okay, so funny side note,
Yes.
I went to a meetup in Chicago in June for the bariatric community. My husband took me to Illinois to drop me off at someone's house. He drops me off. Val goes, I'm not a murderer, I promise. And he's like, okay, bye.
I love it.
And Todd says, some of us now have crazy dogs thanks to the community. And that's true. We have sibling puppies, Franny Mae and Reggie, and Bruno is a half brother to our dogs, and they're nuts.
I love it. Hey, just brings joy. Yeah, but I think, at the end of the day, right, the social media and things really work when we start feeling a connection, right? As human beings, this is our nature. This is what has gotten us to a point on the food chain, so to speak, that we do kind of dominate this planet, and it is that human nature of wanting to build community and connection outside of our immediate family too, right? Like we have people, you guys are like family to me, right? And that's, we're not blood related, but we treat each other like family. And I think that is so crucial when you're building a community, is thinking about how you're going to make those deep human connections. So it's great to have the Zoom calls. It's great to have the Facebook group or whatever, but opportunities to get out and see each other in person, getting together we've gotten together kind of at the DAX show as a community. That's kind of where OSG started in a lot of ways. Right. So we've done that, and like Michelle was saying, hopefully this year, if I get my stuff together, we're going to.
we have a couple
Becky will
opportunities.
Push me there. I know it will happen.
Tanya has now committed, so we're going to be there in April also. So I'm working it so that I can just come watch and be there, because I just think I need a weekend of
There you go.
community.
All
And
right.
I'm going to be killing myself doing a Tough Mudder.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll get you all taken care of. You guys can stay here, and we'll make sure that you're all taken care of and ready to go, and we'll be your support crew.
Yay.
I love
I
it.
think it'll be awesome.
And then Michelle says, love my MOS group, right? And
Absolutely. I
great
was
too.
gonna reiterate that the mastermind groups, to me, have just, not only are we working our business side of life, but so many times that business side leads into the personal side, and that stuff flows through, and everybody is there. Everybody is there to, as Aaron likes to say, the rising tide lifts all boats, and that's just so true for those groups. And I mean, I look forward to more groups. I guess I just feel like it's time for more groups. So we need more people in our masterminds. We need more groups, and I just think I think everybody should have one.
Yeah.
Because hint, hint, Becky and I each want to lead our own mastermind groups.
There you go. There you go. Love it. Let's make it happen. Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see. Again, a little bit of human nature stuff too. So I hate to keep going back to this, but I've spent a lot of time trying to learn and understand this a little bit better, because I couldn't figure me out. Right? I'm like, why do I do the quote unquote dumb things that I do? But a lot of it just boils back down to human nature, and so we have to understand how to harness that instead of allowing it to hold us back. And we have a little bit of competitiveness inside of us, right? This kind of avoidance of, if I share that secret with so-and-so, maybe they're going to do it better than me. The reality is that's not true. The pie is big enough, right? And we have this scarcity mindset sometimes, where we think we have to hold on to all the resources, all of the knowledge, all of the information. And the more I share, the more that I'm able to kind of give, right? The more I get. I had a mentor of mine tell me one time, he said, you can't outgive the universe. And that was just impactful for me, because my second strength behind significance is competitiveness, right? So I'm a very competitive person, but I realized that strength is a good thing. It allows me to work, but it's not about, can I outdo somebody else? It's, can I, push myself to be, like, going back to when I was younger and I actually could play volleyball at a higher level and actually move a little bit. I always loved the matches where we were playing against a really good team and we were just going at it, right? Even if we lost, I was still like really think about those matches. It was, so that's kind of that competitive spirit where we lift everybody up. That rising tide does lift all boats. So,
but you need to remember that on that volleyball team, it wasn't just you.
Exactly.
It was a team. And you shared that. If you share your expertise with that team, that only makes your team better.
That's
so
100%.
the not being able to outgive the universe is very, very good. And I mean, you just think about a team setting like that. If you can get your other teammates to have the same expertise as you, how great will you be?
Exactly. You must have been in my huddles at the volleyball tournament this last weekend, right?
I was not, but
I
wish I was.
I always tell the young men that the thing I love most about volleyball is it really is the ultimate team sport, because you're only as good as the weakest player on your team. And so even if you're the best, quote unquote, athlete or technical volleyball player, your job really is about how do you make everybody else on your team better. And that's where I was able to find some success. I was never the best hitter, the best jumper, the biggest guy, or anything like that. I just always figured out a way to help kind of bring my team up and inspire them when they needed it. And so that's how I was able to be successful. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. One more thing, Rena mentioned here, there's nothing like in person. I want to just say thanks to Rena for, she does get out there, and I've been able to meet with her several times. And in fact, last year in Fort Worth, hanging out with her and Betty was just an absolute blast, and plus very just uplifting, and learned a lot, and it was fantastic. So thanks, Rena, for being a road warrior. All right. Well, anything else that we need to cover on that, or are we ready to dive into the next segment here?
Todd says,
"Oh,
just don't go to Vegas with Rena."
Uh-oh.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. All right.
Yep.
I love it. Thank you, Todd. That's funny. All right, Becky, are you ready for some small business success gems here?
Yes, I have a quick hitter for you.
I love it. I love it. Sometimes those are the best. Just you get a lot of meat all at one bite. All right, here we go.
Good morning, everybody. I am so glad you guys are here. So this week, it's been on my mind lately that it started probably a couple months ago. I've been in this business now 5 years. I started my business roughly 5 to 6 years ago. And when I first started, I was working a full-time job part-time jobs. So this was still another part-time job. So you're working in the evenings, you're busting, you're hustling, you're doing all the things. And I was able to make it full-time. So now that I'm full-time, what happens when you start out after hours doing all the things, and now you're working it as a day job, but your customers have now also gotten used to you working in the evenings and trying to, you try to answer all the questions all the time. I had found as I was going that I was not stopping my work day. And if I did, I was pretty much just numb in watching, TikTok reels and Facebook reels and just kind of social media, getting lost in it. So this week I wanted to talk about hobbies. And I want to know in the comments, who has a hobby outside of your business? What do you do to get away from the business a little bit, I guess is maybe how I want to say it. So I had taught myself to crochet 21-ish, 22 years ago. I was pregnant with my first son and he's 21 now. And I can remember my hands just itched to learn to crochet. My grandma had tried to teach me one time. It didn't work. She tried to teach me on the really thin thread to make a doily. Yeah, don't start with that. That is not recommended. But I sat down. I mean, 20 some years ago, there wasn't as much internet availability as there is now. So I had crochet books. I had whatever. I went and found some of that stuff. I taught myself to crochet. So here a few months ago, I brought that back out. I've started doing a few more things, which led to a few more things, which I'm now trying to hand knit blankets, which I just love, love, love. So I want to know, as far as hobbies, I found that having hobbies, there is a reason. Aaron says, I think people probably know my hobby is volleyball. And yes, we do. I love that. I never actually played volleyball. I played sand volleyball. I don't know if that counts, but I never played volleyball in high school or anything like that, but I do love to watch volleyball. I love to watch the high school sports. I just think they're fun. So, what does a hobby do for you as a business owner, as a small business owner? What does a hobby do for you? Well, first of all, there's stress relief. Just being able to shift gears and completely let go of that day stuff and get some stress relief, unwind, recharge, just leading to better overall feelings. Two, creativity boost. Believe it or not, actually stopping to think about stopping thinking about work or not thinking about work. I think I'm trying to say both of those together. It actually gives you a better opportunity to have some creativity. Some of those challenges will kind of pop into your head while you're not thinking about it. And then the work-life balance, just being able to step away for a little bit and giving yourself a break. I also found that the skill diversification, you can get new perspectives, new ideas, kind of leads back into the creativity. All of that comes forth when you actually let go. And last but not least on this list that I found goes back into some of what Tanya had, the networking opportunities. If you're starting a hobby that's completely different than what your business is, that's a whole nother set of people to talk to network with, to collaborate with. I surprised Tanya because after all this working with knitting and the crocheting and stuff, which Sound TikTok and some of that. There's a lot of young people doing that, and that makes me happy. And I'm not young, but younger. But yesterday in having a few people come out, I talked to a gal from the city, and I am working to set up something in January to now teach the hand knitting blankets. I'm not very good at it yet. I'm still learning. I'm actually waiting for yarn. I wish they'd just get it sent to me. But I'm going to keep working on that. But they don't have to be perfect. These blankets have just, I don't know, they just make me happy. So that is something that has really helped me. So I would like to know what else do you guys do? What other networking or hobbies do you have out there? Let's see what we got. So a few comments here. Michelle, oops. This must be Tanya. Oh, yep. Tanya's at the end. Sorry, I didn't read fast enough. I love learning to draw and procreate. It ties back into business, but it's different. I also need to pick photography back up. And yes, Tanya used to do a lot of photography when they were doing their hockey on-site stuff. Michelle said, depends on the season. Nice weather. She likes to go for motorcycle ride, crafts, painting, silk flowers, other times of year. And I know Michelle is also working on some craft items through the different months. And I think that's kind of where I pulled from. So I was kind of stealing her idea. Thanks for that, Michelle. Appreciate that. And Rena's says, I really let my hobbies go and need to get back to it. Bike riding and the gym. And that's where I was at too, Rena. I had completely lost all of that stuff. I just needed to find something. So I'm glad to hear that. And Todd says barbecue, cooking, golf carts, and patio time. All things sound amazing. So let's bring everybody else back up here, Tanya and Aaron. And I want to hear what Tanya said, procreate. Aaron said volleyball, but give me some insight on it. What do you guys got?
For me, it's dedicating the time after years and years of working nonstop. It's time to have more of a healthy balance. And so what Rena said about bike riding in the gym is going to become part of my new hobby because it's going to be challenging and I need to get back there to do this Tough Mudder, to do like the things that I've not done before. Traveling also for me with doing some meetups and getting together with people. I go see Becky. I think
we're going to make
it
at
often
least
considering our distance, but yeah.
Love it. I think Tanya just hit the nail on the head too. She said the word balance. And I think that's what really, to me, when I was listening to you, Becky, that's what kept going off in my head. Like it's about balance, right? Because, I love what I get to do. I love our success group. I love being able to interact and, I could be at my computer doing stuff, building, creating, trying to kind of think about these concepts 24/7. Right. And, but that just doesn't, no matter how much you love what you do, I think there's got to be some balance there, right? Because it's about being fulfilled ultimately, right? We could work all the time and make all this money but let's understand what it really is all about, right? At the one of the things I'm going to talk about here in a second is, if you look back on this 5 years from now, are you really proud that you worked 16 hours a day, 7 days a week? Right? Not really. Right. You may have made some progress and got a couple of accolades, but at the end of the day, what did you give up for that? And that's the balance part. I think we think about balance as everything has to be equal, right? I'm going to spend 8 hours working. I'm going to spend 8 hours sleeping, and I'm going to spend 8 hours doing other things. No, the reality of that is there are going to be some times where you let your hobbies go because you've got some other priorities there. But having reminders like this is so crucial to say, hey, wait a second. Yeah, I do need to get back on the bike in Rena's case, or, the gym. And, for me, it's also about balancing the other side of that. I sometimes go, oh, it's volleyball time. And now I'm coaching. Now I'm playing. Now I'm thinking about it a lot. Right? It's like, okay, hold on a second, Aaron. Sorry to take over here, but in our Montgomery family, Kylene always teases us that we can't actually say the word, and hopefully she's not watching because I'm going to say it, moderation.
I was actually just going to say that too, because I see some people in the TikTok world that they are on 24/7. And I'm like, how do you get anything else done? And when I was first new, to the world, it was tempting to be on there all the time because you were going to miss out on something. And now that it's more balanced out, it's much, much better.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Todd says the only people who are going to remember you working these long hours are your kids and family you pushed off for work. And yeah, and so it's finding that, right? So,
and that's why I'm looking forward to Christmas vacation this year, because this is the first year since I started my business that I'm also completely shutting off while the kids are off of school. I mean, I will take the opportunity if I want to come out to work and answer some emails and here and there as I go, but I'm really not going to feel pressured to do that. And I put it in our MOS group the other day. My goal is to have orders done by the 18th. So I'm not working till Christmas Eve. I had several years that I worked till Christmas Eve. And part of it was I left my stuff to the end. So then I'm still trying to rush and get my stuff. And as soon as Amazon delivers my stuff this week, my wrapping and my Christmas presents are done, except for baking some treats and doing that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about that part this year.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
See, my theory was always different, but this is what makes me who I am and you who you are, Becky, and why we are a good team in a lot of things. But my theory was, well, I'll just wait to get all my gifts on Christmas Eve because then I don't have to worry about picking things out. I just take whatever's left.
No.
Yep, I see. I made it.
Panic sits in hearing that, and something you guys probably don't know is I had one year I was done Christmas shopping by August.
Look at you go.
But there were circumstances that year. Cora was going to be born at Christmas. We were buying a house and moving in November, and I just decided that wasn't going to happen. I had everything taken care of by August that year. That was kind of fun, but yet not. I enjoy the Christmas season and I enjoy that shopping part a little bit too. So there's some balance there, but I do like to be done earlier.
Nice. Love it.
So,
all right. Well, let's, you guys ready for a little uncommon mindset here?
Yes.
All right, here we go. All right. Welcome into the Uncommon Mindset. This is part 2 of our segment on managing or overcoming busyness, right? And last week we talked about, kind of what we've just talked about here, that balance of life's kind of treasures being family, like Todd had mentioned in his comment, relationships, your health, your big goals, your dreams, your aspirations. And coming from that space, and I mentioned this earlier before too, it's about asking yourself, will I be grateful for how I spent my time right now, 5 years from now, right? Is arguing online in some random Facebook group with people you don't have a relationship with better than forming lifelong connections in mastermind groups and other things like that, right? Will the action that I'm taking right now lead me to looking back on this moment 5 years from now and being grateful that I spent my time doing that, right? And so thinking about that, to conquer the feeling of being overwhelmed, we have to take productive action, right? We just talked about having hobbies and finding balance and stuff like that. And sometimes that feels like you're adding more things to the plate. I know, like I mentioned, volleyball is kind of my hobby, and I've got practice tonight. I had practice on Monday night. We played in a volleyball tournament all day Saturday and Sunday. My son played in the morning, and my team played in the afternoon. And I'm going, wait a second, Aaron, right? That's it's starting to feel overwhelming. But it really comes down to, it's about managing priorities rather than time, right? And so since we started talking about this last week, obviously it's stuck in my mind because I've been thinking about it a lot, but also just in talking to people, busyness continues to be a challenge. It is just that time of year. Tanya talked about being sick, and I know Becky was sick. There was times where I wasn't feeling great, right? And that puts you behind, because when you're not feeling well, guess what? You're not at your most productive, and you really do need to just stop and give your body a chance to recover, right? Or, maybe it's getting back to normal after having a Thanksgiving weekend. Maybe you had people in town, maybe you had family, maybe, you had to change up. I know here at our house, Kylene had to move her office because we had friends staying with us. And so, we had to kind of make changes. And so we had to get back to normal. And then there's the extra activities leading up to holidays. One of the things my family and I love to do is a little town just to the north of us and north and east of us here called St. Charles. They have an awesome little holiday gathering in their Main Street area. And as a family, we love to do that. In fact, we're going to, between Lewis's volleyball practice and my volleyball practice tonight, we're going to spend an hour going down and checking that out. Right. So you're just adding these things. And then, Becky was talking about gift giving, and that brings on some extra stress. Maybe it's financially and just the time that it takes. Right. So I figured that if we could really deep dive into these 10 steps to manage busyness, and I'm just going to kind of keep my eye on the time here so we have some time to chat with Becky and Tanya here. So I'm going to try to get through the first 5 today, but if we don't, we've got plenty of time. We'll come back and hit them next week. So with that being said, there are 10 different things that I kind of rushed through at the end of last week that, so let me share those with you first, and then I'll deep dive into as many of them as I can get to here. So number 1 is we need to prioritize our tasks, right? Focus on what impacts our goals the most. Number 2 is we have to set clear goals, really get specific, and that's going to drive your results. Number 3 was practice time optimization. Again, we talked about having a priority management problem, not a time management problem. But once we have those things, we need to really kind of make the most of our time. We have to learn to say no is number 4. We have to embrace focus is number 5. Number 6 is we need to delegate more. We hold on to too much, and we have to find a way to share the responsibilities and empower others that do want to help us. We have to take regular breaks, right? Finding a hobby like Becky talked about, or just, making time to make sure you get to the gym, those types of things. We need to practice mindfulness, really just slowing down and letting our mind take a break too. Letting go of having to chase every single thought that comes through our head and just welcoming it and letting it go. Number 9 is to review and reflect. Take that moment to look back on things and go, okay, what did I learn from that? What could I change, and what slight changes could I make to make things a little bit easier on myself? And then last and most important is we need to seek support, right? Success is a team sport. And so finding a mastermind, finding a mentor, whatever that is for you, but we need to have more people around us. We need to enhance and build our success team, kind of like Tanya talked about earlier, being intentional about who she was surrounding herself with. So those are the 10 things. And so we'll just start with number 1 and see how far we can go here, if that works for everybody. And let me know in the comments what you are doing to manage your busyness. And maybe it's one of those 10 things, maybe it's a variation of those things or whatnot, but always love to hear what you guys do to manage your busyness too. So number 1 is to prioritize your tasks, right? You've got to identify what those top priorities are. We can't manage our priorities if we don't know what they are. So what tasks are going to have the most significant impact on, again, looking 5 years down the road, are you going to be proud of that, right? What is the priority? Last week, we talked about this tool that I use and a lot of people are using and utilizing, that I borrowed from the success principles that Jack Canfield calls a rule of 5, and I call it the fundamental 5. And I just want to clarify that a little bit more here. Like, the idea is 5 tasks that you're going to complete that day, and it's these are important. Like, our day doesn't end until we finish these 5 tasks is the goal. And it's just really getting intentional about what the priorities are. But I think sometimes what happens, I know this is what happens for me at times, is it does devolve a little bit into a to-do list, right? And yes, it's a list of 5 things, but it's not a to-do list, right? That's a really important thing. Like, if going to the grocery store is on my rule of 5, or my fundamental 5, as we call it, is that really a priority? Right? It might be important, but is that going to get you closer to your goals? That's something on your to-do list, right? So the fundamental 5, the idea here is we really want to make sure that there's some clarity to it. I think Lewis is coming down, so sorry if I'm looking away here. Maybe. Yep, there he is. Come here, bud. Go. I know you got to go. Yeah, you're running a little bit. Bye, buddy. Have a great day. All right. But it's not a to-do list, right? So it's important that what you put on that rule of 5 is things that are going to get you closer to your goal. It doesn't have to be a big project. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to complete this big project that's got 77 steps. Maybe your rule of 5 is ultimately going to lead you to completing that project. So what are the 5 things that you need to do that day? Sometimes for some people, it's, I'm going to do 5 of the same thing, right? Maybe I need to reach out and make quote unquote cold calls, or at least warm reach outs to people on my list. And so my fundamental 5 is I'm not going to stop until I've called 5 people, right? Or maybe it's, in my case, right, if I'm working on a workshop or completing the book, it's, 15 minutes of book time, 15 minutes of this, or whatever it's going to be. We'll talk a little bit more about optimizing our time here in just a second. But that's really what the fundamental 5 is supposed to be all about. It's not a to-do list. It's what's going to move me closer to my turning point goal, right? And it doesn't have to always be the same thing. It can be. Exactly. So if you guys have questions about that, please let me know. Again, there's some nuances to it that makes it really valuable. And I just want to make sure that we understand that it's not necessarily a to-do list. You might have your fundamental 5. I have my fundamental 5. And then I also have a list of like things that I just need to check off, right? The administrative type tasks, right? I've got to get the 2 Regular Guys show for this Friday posted, right? That's not going to necessarily get me closer to my goal, but it's got to be done, right? So I've got a comment here. Let's see. Yeah. So Todd says, how many people did you ask yesterday for a sale, right? And so maybe that is your fundamental 5. I need to ask 5 people to place their order, right? Maybe I've got 5 quotes out there, but have you followed up on them, right? Those types of things. I love that. So thanks for sharing that, Todd. All right. So that's number 1, prioritize your tasks. Number 2 is to set clear goals. And I brought this up. I talked a little bit about it last week, the example of a vague goal of revamping a program that you currently offer. And the problem with that is there's just not enough clarity there, right? You have to be more specific. Those generalities of, here's the big general picture. That's awesome, right? But ultimately, that's really good for covering your butt and being a people pleaser, because you're giving yourself an out. Well, I kind of did it. I didn't really get it done, but I can make the case that I got it done. So I feel better about myself. And again, I understand we got to give ourselves grace. And so it's not about beating ourselves up, but when you get specific, that's when you're going to get actual results. So what exactly, in our example there, what exactly does revamping the program mean? So I wanted to just quickly, the deep dive into this is what makes a goal clear. Like how can we get more clarity? What do we need to be asking ourselves? And ultimately, at the end of the day, for a goal to be clear, you need 2 things, 2 basic ingredients. How much, right? It's got to be measurable. That's where the how much comes into play. And then by when, a very specific by when. If we don't put that end date, that task, that check the box, right? And a lot of times, what I would encourage people to do is to say how much by when, and then take that by when and cut it in half and see what you can do, right? Maybe that's a little too overwhelming. Maybe that's a little too much, but push yourself, right? Make it a stretch. So that's the first part, is have to have those 2 things, how much and by when. Secondly, it has to be very focused, right? When we've got a lot of things that we're trying to work on at one time, it's very difficult to build momentum, right? So let's say you're trying to push a round ball up a slight incline, right? If you're just pushing one little small round ball up an incline, you can kind of give it a good push and let it go. But if you're trying to push 10 balls up that incline at the same time, guess what's going to happen, right? You're not going to build any momentum. You've got too many sticks in the fire, and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to push that ball. Oh no, I got to get this ball. And they all just keep coming rolling back down on top of you. So we need to work to build momentum. And so really focused in. It doesn't mean that you can only have one goal at a time. It means while you're working on that, build that momentum and push it up and be very focused on that one thing at one time. And then the next part that makes a goal really clear is it needs to be something that's worth sharing with others, right? It's if you feel like you can't share your goals with other people, A, you need to be around different people, or B, you need to get over that and say, nope, this is what my goal is. And this is what my specific goal is. And then Tanya talked about this with the community building. How do we check in with those people? And because they're going to help us, they're going to give us ideas. I talked to a gentleman out in Atlanta, and he told me specifically what he was going to do. I couldn't help him at the time. I didn't have anything for him specifically, but I listened, and he told me all the details, and he got very specific. Well, I just had somebody reach out to me yesterday, and they said, hey, can you help me with this? And I'm like, well, no, that's not really what I do, but I know somebody that can, right? And so now I'm conspiring for this other person just because he took the time to tell me what his goal was. And so that's the next part, right? And ultimately, by sharing that, then it allows a third party and your subconscious, by the way, to measure, am I getting there? Am I getting there? And then last but not least, break it down into bite-sized chunks, right? The goal is really, you missed the bus. Okay, you're fine. You're fine, buddy. We'll get you. The goal is kind of a point on the map, right? It's where you're heading, but the real value is in the actions and that momentum that comes from the task. So focus on that part. All right. Well, with that being said, I do want to get plenty of time because I really have enjoyed getting to chat with Becky and Tanya today about their segments. And so I want to leave us some time to do that. So I was going for 5. I got 2, right? I'm starting to feel a little bit like Terry Combs. He did a program called 52 Niche Markets in 52 minutes. And I'm like, what'd you get through 5? He's like, yeah, 6. I'm like, okay. So I got through 2. Prioritize your task, set clear goals. I want to bring Tanya and Becky back in here and get their take on those 2 things and see if we can kind of deep dive a little bit more on that. All right. So Tanya, Becky. All right, let's get me moved back in my spot here. What's your guys' take on what I just put out there?
Well, I love the fact that you went further into explaining the fundamental hikora. That it isn't necessarily a task list, because I think I was falling into that rut of just listing tasks, but breaking down into more specifics, different things and how you're going to reach those goals. The prioritizing for me is huge.
Yeah. You're not the only one. I mean, this is something I talk about all the time. This is something that I really try to do. And almost daily, I got to remember, oh, nope, come on, Aaron. That's just put that over, so maybe I just need to have another section on my sheet that's actually the to-do list too. But yeah, you're not the only one that falls into that. So I thought it was really important to remind people of that on the prioritizing task.
Even if you're doing it all the time, it's easy to fall back into those old habits of doing just the list of, what administrative things do I need to do today?
Well, sorry, Becky, to interrupt. I know you've got plenty to share, but I wanted to just touch on that part too, right? When we're not in a state of real high energy, right, we're going to fall back on those tasks, right? The administrative stuff, because we can kind of do that on autopilot, right? I find myself going, okay, yep, I'm going to post the 2 Regular Guys show, or I've got a couple of backlog shows that I need to do, right? It takes a little bit of effort and energy, but it's not something that requires a whole lot of brain power. And so, yeah, I tend to fall back on those things. And so that's why the fundamental 5 is so important, that, these are things that you should be doing when you do need that mental brain power, that you're creating, you're building, you're growing. And so I think that's a really good way to look at what you put on the fundamental 5. Is this helping me create, grow, improve, right? And if not, then that's fine. That's probably just administrative task.
Yep.
Yeah. Becky, what about you? What are your thoughts there?
I was going to put Rena's comment up here.
Oh, nice.
Too, that says time blocking has been a game changer for me. And I agree with that. Our co-working time too, but the prioritizing tasks. I mean, so I've shortened mine. Mine now says fun 5.
Nice. I love it.
Sometimes I can't spell fundamental, so whatever. But you need to remember too, that sometimes that 5 is 2, some
really
of those
point.
can be big items and big ticket ones that need to be done. And so sometimes my fun 5 becomes a fun 2, because that's all that's going to happen that day. And if I try to put 5 on there, then I set myself up for failure. And by the end of the day, I look at my list and go, crap, I didn't get 3 done. I must not have done something right today. Where if I would have put the 2 on there and was realistic about this is all I'm going to get done today, then at the end of the day, I'm feeling positive and I'm like, perfect. I finished my list, type of thing. And if there was anything else I got to add on there and cross off at the same time, but that's the prioritizing too, is to make sure that you're also realistic with what you're putting on that list.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes I've written 10 because I'm like, oh, that's, Tanya did that the other day. She was listing stuff and I said, are you sure? She's like, it's okay, because some of those are quick hitters and I can quick, get them done. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Then do those, get those done and off of there. But I just need to remember too that, we say fundamental 5 because it's a nice, good number. It's a good place to start. But also, if there's 2, there's 2. That's right. The way the day goes. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, I love that. And going into what Rena said, time blocking has been a game changer for me. I think that might be right. So maybe it is the fun one, right? But I'm going to commit to 5 15-minute time blocks to that thing, or,
right.
Like if it is, making that cold call or following up on a quote or, so whatever that might be. But I think that's really, I love that, Becky. That's a really important tool because you do want to have that celebration at the end. If you look back on it and you worked really hard, but then you don't feel like you accomplished anything, you probably did, but you probably overshot, right?
Right.
Like we always think we can do more than we actually can. Things will expand as we go, right? Like, oh, I've got great intentions. And then, a couple hours later and yeah.
And sometimes you can even use the tool that Kylene and I talked about is the intentional 5 minutes. Work on something for 5 minutes, or it could be 10 or 15, see how far you get and then change gears for a while.
Yeah.
That tends to help me because otherwise I will just focus until I'm getting nothing done because I'm so over it.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's, but those are such good things to realize, right? Because everybody's going to be a little bit different about how we get there. And I think that maybe goes into number 2 that I'd love to hear you guys' take on it too, is setting those clear goals, right? How can we get more clarity on what ultimately we want to be doing? So what are your guys' thoughts on that? I kind of gave a few tips on how you can make those goals more clear.
I'm going to quick jump in, Tanya. Sorry.
Yeah,
I am going to say a mastermind. I know Erin had other things on there, but honestly, I mean, you can set goals and do all the things, but I believe in our mastermind group, when we set our goals and stuff, having those other people to bounce that off and know, back to accountability, but just having that group that you're going to say, you're doing stuff with, then it's, you just have that extra feedback. And I think that just helps keep your goals up front.
Yeah. Really good.
And
Tanya, what do you?
The mastermind and setting those goals, but then also revisiting them. In the mastermind the other day, I said that I need to revisit my why. I don't think my why is as relevant as what it was. And I've been avoiding it because the process was very painful for me before.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of once I do that and get refocused on where I want my future to head, then I'll be better off.
Yeah. That's and like you said, that the process can be a little bit painful. It can be a little bit uncomfortable, right? We have to go inside and kind of figure out, hey, limiting beliefs. What are you doing in here? Can we, and it's sometimes a little bit painful to evict those kind of people, right? Those kinds of limiting beliefs inside of us. And so I think you're 100% right. Going back into that, and like Chuck says here, you need to set attainable goals, and you can adjust as needed. For me, what I try to do is at the beginning of the year, set those goals, and then each quarter there's a review process, right? What do I need to adjust? What's working? What's not working? And I don't want to, just use that as an excuse to go, I'm not getting there, so I'm not going to do it. Right? To me, if I'm going to change a goal, it has to be like something really clear has to be showing up for me going, bing, 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 Erin, you were off track. But if it's just I don't really feel like working that hard or pushing that far, then I don't do that. But I think that's a really, really good point, Tanya. So,
Mhm.
And if you were part of OSG yesterday, Aaron sent something out with a form or a sheet that was a difficult situation form. And I looked at that and went, whoa, that hurts. So there's some deep thinking on that. And that, I mean, Aaron and I haven't had our meeting yet this week, so there might be some discussion on that. But I could see where that would definitely push a goal forward. You know, why are you avoiding it? What is causing you to avoid it? What, you know, all these things of what's going to push you forward and why aren't you doing that? You know, so.
I'm gonna have to go find that. I wasn't at my computer a lot yesterday, so I missed that.
I brought it up and then I quickly put it back down because I'm like, that's a little deeper than I wanted to go yesterday, but definitely need to.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite questions in there is, what am I pretending not to know?
Yes.
Right. It just think about that for a second.
Ooh.
What am I pretending not to know? Ugh. It hurts a little bit because you have to be honest with yourself. But the reality is, once you kind of go, oh, yep, that's it. Okay, why am I pretending not to know that? Right now, I can find a way around it. But if I don't know what I'm pretending not to know, then I'm not. You know, it's like facing a challenge that you have no idea where it's coming from, what it looks like, what it's doing. It just keeps smacking you in the face every once in a while. Yep. And you're like, what the heck? You know, so yeah. And then Michelle says, love MOS to help set goals and the accountability. And I think you guys hit the nail on the head with that for sure. So, okay.
We do some chews and some ice happening here today.
Yeah, let's get into that because I need to take Lewis to school. The bus passed him by, and he needs to be there in a couple of minutes. So I might run here in a second. But yeah, Tanya, ice us down here. Sorry.
All right. For those of you that don't know, ICE stands for Inspire, Collaborate, and Encourage. It's something I wholeheartedly believe in. It warms my heart. And from that came choose. I believe you can choose what you need as often as you need it. So today on my choose board is grace, because I've not been giving myself any grace on anything and really been beating myself up. So I'm going to choose grace. And if I need to choose grace every 5 minutes, that's exactly what I'm going to do to move myself forward. Wonderful. So how about you guys?
Mine is intention. It has been there the last couple of days, and that will stay there to just make sure I am intentionally doing what I need to do.
Very good.
Mine's staying the same this week too. I still have some unfinished business that I need to wrap up, and but when I was focused on that, or I was choosing that, I definitely made way more progress than I've made in a long time without being, like Becky just said, intentional about things.
Yep. So, yes. I love how intentional pops up in every single episode.
It is there.
Isn't it crazy?
Absolutely.
Isn't it crazy? All right. Well, I'll let you guys close it out. I do need to run. Otherwise, he's going to be late to school. Can you guys, we're going to leave you hanging. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. You guys are amazing. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments today.
All right. In the comments, if you would, hi, Cora. If you would, let us know what you're going to choose this week. How are you going to use ICE and choose in your week to move yourself forward? I know that I'm going to be gone for a few days, so my word will likely change. I have some things going on in our football world, and so days are going to look a little bit different. Are you going to stay with intention for the coming days, or do you not know, Becky?
As of right now, yes, but depends on how tomorrow goes. After Aaron and I meet, we may have to change that goal a little bit too. We have some stuff that we're working on that I might have to change mine to finish with him. So
I really love that one.
It's a good one.
So let's see. Am I missing anything? I haven't looked at the other slides.
I hadn't either, but I think we're good to go. I think we appreciate all of you guys commenting today. We love having the comments. Be sure and share for us. All the things. So
yeah. Make 100% commitment to choose something for yourself this week. Post it in the comments, post it on the OSG feed on Facebook, and also do daily gratitude. It really helps. So we wish you all a wonderful week, and go get it. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.